Hey guys, got a real treat for you today. I've got Ethiopian Sidama Natural. This is one of my favorite coffees so far in the tastings that I've done from Third Coast Coffee Roasting Company. Just a really, really solid brew. The flavor notes I talked about from the Yirgacheffe, if I said that correctly, that sort of raisinette flavor is even stronger in this one. But really fruity, crazy flavor profile, but I'm gonna let this finish up so we can go ahead and have a taste. If I pull up their website, Third Coast Coffee Roasters, you can see that they've got information about the Ethiopia Sidama Natural. I'm most interested so far in the Ethiopian coffees that I've had because I said they have a different flavor profile, and I'm not sure if it's the terroir. I don't know what it is about the land or how the beans are produced that gives it such a nuanced flavor. But when I read on the website, it talks about a little bit of information about the cooperative. And then it says that the coffee in the Sidama region is grown in the garden style, meaning that the trees are planted around homesteads at low densities, interspersed with stable or staple crops, and generally under the cover of indigenous shade trees. The water conserving natural process method allows the flavor-laden coffee cherry to remain on the seed for days, saturating the bean with an intense berry flavor. We carefully adjust our roasting to enhance the distinctive qualities of the Sidama natural coffee. I love little factoids and tidbits like that that give me information about the coffee and the bean itself. I'm really interested in where the coffee comes from, the people who have grown it, and information related to the cultural nuance of a different region and how it's going to affect the beans. I don't know as much about how coffee is brewed in different regions, which I think is also interesting, kind of like, espresso, that sort of thing. What I do find really interesting is coffee is such a world market. People can pick up coffee just, everywhere, but coffee is shipped globally. So even though it's indigenous to Africa, it is spread all over the world. It's an international crop. It's something that isn't necessary for survival, which I feel kind of weird saying because I absolutely, how would I live without my brown liquid? Knowing more about the people, the climate, the landscape, how it's grown, and then the chemical constituents that allow the aroma and flavors that we pick up on our tongues. All that stuff is just totally, totally interesting to me. I'm gonna let this sit for just a second so it'll cool. I like the packaging again. I really like the bags that come with. Let me see if I can pull it up close so you can see it a little better. But Third Coast there, and I'm going to take a smell here because I want to smell the beans before we get into the coffee itself. Oh man, yeah. The Natural is, I can't remember, I don't think I did a review on that one yet. I think it's one of the ones I've got that I need to review. And I'm noticing a theme that the natural ones are probably the ones that I'm more interested in because they seem to have a more nuanced flavor because when they're leaving the berries on the coffee longer. It almost has like a note of raspberries. It's a little more tart in its aroma. It doesn't smell like cinnamon. It's almost like bark, some sort, kind of earthiness. It's fruity, but it's got a certain almost like sharpness to it. Other than the fact that it smells great. Yeah, there's that deep, rich fruit flavor. It's Now that I'm reading that on the website, it's making me more interested in that process. I might have to look that up and see what the deal is. But it seems like it's got the standard sort of Colombian coffee bean flavor, and then behind it is this deeper, richer, more full set of aromas and flavors. Really, really interested to have this on its own, meaning to have it completely plain. Let me see if I can pour just a little bit of that without making a mess here. Just enough to give me a taste. And also allows the coffee to cool more rapidly so I don't burn myself. I really like these Chemex, by the way. I've really gotten into the ritual of using these each day. They're really, really nice for the pour over method. A little more acid, a little more sharp. You know, the beans themselves felt like they were more robust, kind of full, and this feels like it's sharpened a bit. Of the flavor compounds in coffee, the stuff that's water soluble, I also wonder what the transition is from the bean itself to being in liquid form. Like what can the water not pick up? Because I know that, for instance, with espresso, they're getting more oils from the bean, so it's got a thicker, denser, fatty kind of texture. Again, it's like it's all the stuff I think of from like Colombian coffee, and it's not that Colombian coffee is bad by any means, but Colombian coffee is so common, I didn't realize I had a flavor profile for it. Now I'm getting all these additional layers of flavor on top of that more basic flavor profile. Now, this I find interesting. I don't drink my coffee black, but the fruitiness of this makes it so that if I was gonna drink black coffee, I think I could drink this. The man, that raisinette flavor, that fruitiness that comes through is so pronounced and out front along that lower sort of Colombian bean thing I was talking about in the flavor profile. I think I could just drink this black. It feels odd to me because I'm not usually I always put cream in my coffee. I'm not usually a fan of black coffee, and this, man, I think I could just drink this black. This is amazing. The fruitiness that comes through, and the fruitiness is likely, I think, from the coffee cherry itself. I'm gonna have to look up more about coffee processing, roasting, and how they create this. If there's anybody at Third Coast Coffee who'd like to come on the podcast, do a tasting of one of your coffees, I'd be happy to do that, by the way. It'll help me have more information from people involved in the coffee community to explain why we're getting certain flavor profiles, aromas, scents from different beans. This is the geekery. I just think this is amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and pour my cup, but I'm actually gonna pour it without the cream. I wanna see if there's even a flavor difference that way from the little bit that I poured. Is there a difference when I pour a whole cup as opposed to having just that little bit that cooled rapidly? I buy filters that are, I think, unbleached, really good filters for the coffee. I really like the ritual that goes into making this each day. It's been interesting to me because I was used to French press, and someone on TikTok I spoke with in the comments said something about the Chemex was less muddy than a French press. Because I was already grinding beans, but I grind beans on excuse me, on the French press at a much larger grind. This is on my burr grinder, just about in the middle of medium. A little bit smaller because it's going to go through a little bit faster through the filter. I need to make a pot of French press now and try. But once I started to use the Chemex, it was like the Chemex was between a drip coffee maker and a French press. But I felt like this had more flavor than what I was getting before. I don't know if grinding the beans a little bit smaller, as in this is on medium, the French press is on coarse, if that makes a huge difference or not. There's a tartness. It almost makes me think of, I said raspberries earlier, but it's almost like a little bit of cranberry. The berry from the coffee cherry around the bean. So interesting. I mean, just cascades of flavor. It reminds me of chocolate. When I have a good chocolate, when you have a Hershey's bar, it's like you get this single note. But when you have good chocolate, as it melts, there's just this cascade of flavors and sensations that come across as you are tasting the coffee, or tasting the chocolate in that case. Again, I don't drink coffee black. It's not bitter. It's almost like green tea, maybe oolong. There's some bitterness, but it's not something that I think would push people away. It's not nearly as I would normally think of black coffee. Gonna add my cream there. Give it just a minute. On their website, it says that the Sidama Coffee Farmers Cooperative Union represents some 86,000 farmers in Ethiopia's southern and culturally distinctive Sidama region. It was founded in 2001, and the Sidama Coffee Farmers Cooperative Union, the SCFCU, is equal parts development organization and technical advisor. Nice. It's one of the things that makes me feel better about cultural notions with food, liquor, coffee consumption is knowing more about the people and what's going on, knowing more about the indigenous infrastructure in Ethiopia, what's happening with, road construction, school buildings. Because we come in and buy things like this from agricultural communities, it makes me wonder, let's say, I think Third Coast Coffee Roasting Company, they raised their rates. I think the beans used to be like $9 a pound. And then during the pandemic, I think they moved locations, and then they raised their rates. And they raised the rates about $2 a pound. So I think it's $11 a pound for the beans. Now, at first I went, I mean, nobody wants to pay more for anything. But then, one, we're in a pandemic. Would I want to lose access to such high quality coffee? No. It's $2. If you buy 4 pounds of coffee, we're talking $8. Doesn't matter. Them raising their fee by such a small amount. The other portion is it costing them more? And I don't know this during COVID. Is it costing them more to buy the beans because of holdups related to? I mean, these beans came from Ethiopia. What happens with the trade, construction, the ships, however the beans are picked, packed, transported from another country, just so I can get my caffeine fix? It's something I find really, really interesting. Let's try here again. Just awesome. The cream does cut a little bit of, I want to say, the acidity. It's maybe not quite as astringent is the word I want to use. I don't know if I'm using that correctly. Some of the tannins, some of the sharper flavors were cut by the cream, but still just an amazing, amazing cup of coffee. If you guys get a chance to check out Third Coast Coffee Roasting Company, highly, highly recommended. I've not had anything from them that I did not like. I continue to go through and sample. As I said in the last review, they are seemingly cycling through beans from different regions and countries. I have no idea what's going on during COVID with production and how it's influenced other countries. But I'm very happy to Third Coast Coffee Roasting Company for getting me through the pandemic. A really great brew. I recommend you guys check this out. You can check out Third Coast Coffee Roasting Company on their website, which is shop.thirdcoastcoffee.com. You can go through and you'll see tons of information. You can go to, let me see if I go back a screen here. You can go into the different coffees that they've got available to be able to go through their catalog. And then this, if I click on just catalog, is going to go back to the main, because I think they had it broken down. Let me go back to home. There we go. When I go back here, you can see that it's broken down by region. So you could go into different areas and pick up whatever it is you were looking for. In recent months, it does seem that it has diminished a little bit, but I'm assuming it's because of COVID or other business stuff. Really wonderful coffee. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope you learned something today. The Ethiopian coffees, again, I just love them. The flavor profile is amazing. I think in the next review, I'm going to go over the Coyona Natural, which is a Peruvian coffee in a similar form as this. I think that natural process is where they're leaving the berry on. I'm going to have to do more research there. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for Third Coast Coffee Roasting Company. Again, Ethiopia, Sidama Natural. I'll see you guys again soon, and I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you.